tastier, and better because we care.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. And by JGP Janitorial, lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. JGP Janitorial, 548-1221.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. How's everybody doing out there this morning? I'm having a great morning so far. I'm very excited for our topic on the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and I'm very excited to say that we do have on the phone, very unexpectedly, this all happened pretty late last night. We were able to arrange it. I have Caribbean economist and advisor, Miss Marla Dukharan. We are very familiar with her at Radio Cayman. She's a friend of Radio Cayman. She's often on Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. She's been with me on the Business Buzz once, and she's been commissioned by different entities, including the government, Cayman Enterprise City, and now DART, doing different reports as required. And the latest report that I understand Marla has written is concerning the beach erosion on 7 Mile Beach. So we're going to get into those details, the insights that was revealed in this report. But let's first welcome Marla to the show. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me again on your show.
Thank you, because you really helped me scramble at the last minute to come on the show. So I appreciate that a lot.
I'm glad I could make it happen, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, as you know, I'm not able to get a copy of the report as yet, so we don't know if it's going to be public. But could you give us basically the background on, DART did reach out to you to get this report done. What was the reasoning behind it, and how did you approach giving this report?
Okay, all good questions. Thanks for asking. So this is an economic impact assessment that I conducted on 7 Mile Beach and the proposed renourishment exercise that had been proposed some years ago of 7 Mile Beach. So, and I want to make it clear because I've gotten a lot of questions and feedback since the article was released by the Cayman Compass yesterday, of people asking questions that basically they were asking questions about environmental impact of certain different approaches to remediation, questions around different areas of Cayman that's also suffering damages. And I just want to make it clear that, of course, any study that you do is limited to the objective of that specific study. This is not an environmental impact assessment. This is an economic impact assessment, because I'm just an economist, right? And it was for the specific geographic location of 7 Mile Beach. And the assessment was done basically to put a value on what does 7 Mile contribute to the economy, what is the value of the assets on 7 Mile Beach, how many jobs, for example, does 7 Mile Beach activity generate, how much government income does it generate, et cetera, et cetera. So all of the macroeconomic type contributions that you would get out of 7 Mile Beach. And we looked at those values relative to the cost of beach renourishment, the initial cost as well as the long-term cost. Remember, I'm not an expert in beach renourishment. I'm an economist. So I just looked at the reports of the experts on beach renourishment and said, okay, if this is what the experts are recommending, and this is the cost of what the experts are recommending, this is what my assessment is of those costs relative to the economic contribution that I was able to calculate for 7 Mile Beach. So the report itself has not been made public, to answer your other question. I believe DART has the intention of making it public at some point, but I'm happy to discuss my findings with you today based on the study that I've conducted.
Wonderful. Thank you for the introduction to the study so far. I appreciate that. And yes, I did have some other people in media, particularly from Compass Media, that I was reaching out to see if I could get that report. And it was the same thing. We don't know. We're not sure as yet. But I said, I can also reach out to the lady who wrote the report, knowing that we do have a relationship. And so I'm very happy that you were able to come on our show, because that article in the Compass was released yesterday, I believe.
Yes.
And it was interesting. I didn't know that this was coming, but Compass Media has done a great job in following the beach erosion and continuously giving us stories and updating us on what's going on. And particularly on their website, they have a great video that shows what's going on. So I appreciate the help that was coming from media, but it's great to have you on here to explain the insights that you did glean, which I think is something that we should really go into, because there were some great figures that were suggested in that report.
Well, the thing is, when I agreed to do the report and the analysis, it was never the intention on my side that it had to be published. This is entirely up to them. And I know
Right.
that the objective was really to get numbers and clarity around what exactly are we dealing with.
Right.
Because to make any decision, you need to have the numbers. Anytime you're embarking on any project, whether it's in this case, it's beach renourishment or not, the do nothing scenario. So I had to calculate that as well. Or whether it's port expansion, or whether it's putting up a new hotel, or increasing the amount of stories that hotels and buildings can go up. All of those things, you need to have the numbers to justify whatever decision you're going to make. And so the intention of this study was to do just that, was to come up with what exactly are we dealing with from a data standpoint. And so, it's entirely up to DOT whether or not they share this report. I'm not attached either way. But what I will say is that, I've been going to the Cayman Islands for many, many years. And it was obvious to me when I spent some time there earlier this year how much erosion and damage has taken place. It was heartbreaking to see some of the erosion and damage that was evident around May, June when I was there. And I just kept thinking, when is somebody going to do something about this? Because it's only going to get worse. And we know that with sea level rise, for example, one of the reports that I cited in my analysis, the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, it goes by the acronym CRIF, they found in 2010, which is 14 years ago, that coastal flooding and storm surge accounted for about 45% of total damage potential for Cayman. Beach renourishment was found by CRIF to have net economic benefits with a cost-benefit ratio of about 0.3 or 30%. And also they found that we have a significant capacity for averting further losses. And this was since 2010 that they found this. And I know that there had been beach renourishment exercises in the past, but it was a long time ago. And this is something that you have to sort of do every so often. And I don't think that agenda of continuous maintenance was implemented. And so we've had the damage that we've had. Basically, when I did my analysis, we estimate that the total gross impact of 7 Mile Beach on the Cayman Islands economy approaches $1 billion a year, which of course the Cayman Compass article highlighted.
Yes.
And also we found that properties on 7 Mile Beach are valued at around $6 billion. Now, the studies that I had privy to estimated that the initial cost of beach renourishment was $25.2 million. And this is based on some estimates that was released in the government's budget some years ago, and also $6 million every year every 5 years. And this is based on the Danish Hydraulic Institute report, as well as some calculations done by DOT. So let's say
Okay,
25.6.
hold on, Marla.
Sorry.
I just want to let listeners know that you just referenced the Danish hydraulic report that that DART also commissioned earlier this year. And for our listeners to know that aren't aware, don't remember, that report that was also looking at the beach erosion, and it had some suggestions on how we could replenish the beach again. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there was something in that report I think that you had made reference to that I could kind of suss out in that article a little bit. So I just wanted to make that point, but carry on, please.
Yes, and so the experts have calculated what the cost is, and so when you look at 25.2 million and then 6 million every 5 years, that's really small compared to the 1 billion, roughly 1 billion that 7 Mile Beach generates for the Cayman Islands economy every year, yes. And then the value of properties of about 6 billion along 7 Mile Beach. So that's in a nutshell that's my summary of my findings there.
Mm-hmm. That was a big one. So I think we've been trying to look at a figure of exactly what 7 Mile Beach does contribute to the economy, and that US $1 billion is pretty huge.
Yes.
We know that tourism is considered the fourth contributor to our economy, the fourth greatest contributor to our economy, and us not taking care of one of our greatest assets, which is the beach, and understanding the tourism aspect of it, and kind of the whole domino effect that is happening right now and could happen in the future. It's a pretty serious matter for Cayman to get behind. In 2021, I'm not sure if you were aware that at that time, the government, led under the former Premier Wayne Panton, had declared, a $21 million fund towards beach replenishment. In 2022, I think that committee I don't know if they disbanded, but there's been no further meetings since some point in 2022. So it's interesting that you said that you took your projections of about 25.2 million US dollars, or I guess 21 CI dollars. That's what's quoted in the Compass, that's what you've suggested could be used towards the beach replenishment. And that's the same figure, 21 million, that the government in 2021 also proposed.
Yes, this figure was from the government's budget, because I use US dollars throughout as my currency in this report. And so, yes, the conversion is about that. So, but it's interesting what you mentioned, because we went through all of the budgets, the government budgets, and yes, you're right. There was an allocation for some beach renourishments some years back. Maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm looking for it now, and then it fell away, assuming that it was no longer on the government's agenda. So yes, you are right. There was at some point some allocation in the budget to conduct this beach renourishment. I don't think it was limited to 7 Mile Beach at the time, but then the next budget after that, it was not there. So I think it was no longer approved or no longer a priority.
Okay, we got to go to a break right now. If you don't mind hanging on the phone so we can wrap up. We've got a couple more questions and a couple of more of those great insights that you mentioned. I believe we might have a caller as well, so hoping the caller can hang on until we're done with this commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Following the departure of John Garrett Wood, Cayman's first trained schoolmaster in 1854, Caymanian's education system saw the arrival and departure of several headmasters prior to the arrival of James C. Panton and Frederick S. McTaggart. Both graduated from Montego Bay Academy. Mr. Panton began his teaching in Prospect before moving to Bodden Town, while Mr. McTaggart would remain in Georgetown until he became a full-time elder and lay preacher in 1888. Mr. McTaggart's Georgetown School dedicated predominantly to boys and was held in the Presbyterian Chapel. Although there was an absence of school supplies, like most of the island, Mr. McTaggart would later earn praises for being a strict but able teacher.
The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza tickets are here. Get your tickets now and win that $40,000 grand prize, $4,000 second prize, and 6 $1,000 prizes. Tickets are only $25. Get your tickets now from any Rotary Central member, Rotary Central ticket seller, eventpro.ky, and 916-7310. Rotarian Annie Rose Scott, the Sister Islands. You may be that lucky winner. Rotary Central, supporting more than 28 projects important to our community. The 29th Annual Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Saturday, November 30th. Salters Harbor Grill, Red Bay, the magic of Rotary, through Rotary Central.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
When it comes to keeping the office spotless, we rely on JGP Janitorial. With over 20 years of experience in office and business cleaning, they understand what it takes to maintain a professional environment.
Reliable, efficient, and priced right. GJP Janitorial is the smart choice for any business. For a free quote, call GJP Janitorial 548-1221. GJP Janitorial. Lose the mop. They'll clean the slop. That's 548-1221. Keep your business shining.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Ladies, it's a Queen Party at Kingpin Bowling every Wednesday with happy hour bowling specials for all of our Cayman queens. Yes, you. 5 until 7 p.m. every Wednesday. Only $7 to bowl with drink specials. Bowling shoes included. Mix it up, walk in, and take a spin for your next girls' night. For more information, call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2695. Or email kingpinbowling@CAND W.KY.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller. Business Buzz.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. We are talking about beach erosion, and we have on the phone with us Caribbean economist and advisor Marla Dukharan. She has written an economic impact assessment on 7 Mile Beach, and particularly focused on the beach erosion that is happening that we're all very aware of in Cayman, unless you've had your head in the sand and you haven't noticed how the beach is slowly disappearing on parts along 7 Mile, especially the southern end. So, Marla, are you there with me? You're back with me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I know that we do have a caller, so we're going to take the call. I'm going to ask the caller if you could please be a little quick, just because we have less than 10 minutes to finish the show, and I have a couple more questions for Marla. So good morning, caller. Thank you for calling the Business Buzz.
Hello, good morning, Kathy, and good morning to your guest, your caller guest.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning.
Pretty good. And I'll try to wrap it up as quickly as possible.
Thank you. I know you're succinct, so I got you.
Yeah. First, I want to say thank you to Marla for writing the report, and thank you for the DART organization for letting some of the information come out so people can see it. There's just a couple of things that I would like to clarify and go over, simply because in Cayman, because of such a small community, information that is being published on certain platforms, it plays a heavy role in opinions and decisions that are being made, especially now that this is a political cycle that is coming to an end. So let me just jump right in. I listened to, and I also read the information in which Marla reported on, and I just wanted to create a balance of what's actually taking place, because obviously she has said herself that these reports was summoned before the DART organization. Now, if we look at the information that has been put out by Marla, it says that the 62% of the bedrooms in the hotels along the 7 Mile Beach stretch are the ones that are being affected. Now, I don't have an issue with renourishment, and I don't think that renourishment of the beach is a problem. I just think that, this is not about not doing anything at all. This is about doing the right thing. And I believe that the evidence is there, and that's why I question the science, and I question the reports and the analysis that suggested that our entire 7 Mile Beach is at risk, because when we speak about the $1 billion of revenue generated annually, that would mean all of the development along that stretch, not just the areas that are being affected. And when we talk about the 62% of the hotel beds being on that stretch, there's only one hotel being affected by this beach erosion, and that's the Marriott. That's only one hotel. And when we talk about the other issues that we face, I just want to know if, yes, you've seen the reports that DART had done and whatever, but where is the science that suggests that the entire stretch of the beach would be at jeopardy? Because then that would make it fair for you to suggest that these are the things that are really at risk. Now, I hear a lot of talk about sea level rises and all of these other things that affects beach erosion. However, when we look at the evidence, putting sand on a beach, whether it's $21 million worth of sand or whether it's $100 million worth of sand, if we have not addressed the core cause of beach erosion, then we're just throwing money away, and we're not solving the problem at all. Now, granted, I understand that it has temporary relief for the individuals along that corridor that has lost the beach. Now, if we look at the other end of the beach, right, where Boggy Sands is, there is a structure that was built, again, too close to the high water mark, and it started to erode. That don't get nearly as much attention as the 7 Mile, the other end, simply because you have a plethora of condominium owners and now a hotel that is being directly affected by it. So all of the attention seemed to have gone in that direction. But the evidence is there. When you look at all of the seawalls and the buildings that have been allowed to build too close to the water levels, those are the areas that are being heavily affected. Now, one can argue that and we know that Mother Nature has a way of handling herself, and yes, we got increasing weather patterns that are changing.
Caller, sorry, is there a question? Because I have to wrap you up because we only have a few minutes left on the show.
Well,
you're making great points, and I hate to do this, but there's some other stuff we got to go through.
Well, I get that, Katya, but I just want to create a balance for this conversation, because I don't want the Caymanian public to feel as if our entire 7 Mile Beach is at risk when it's not. I don't want the Cayman Islands to feel that our GDP and our revenue and employment and all these things are at risk, when all these reports are based on studies that DART paid for, and no one is talking about him owning most of the property along that corridor, including the hotels.
I think the Marriott is one of the hotels that has provided some information on their loss in revenue, for example. Thank you for your call. Marla, if you would like to respond to what he said. So I do want to say that the caller was speaking about hotels, but there's also the Airbnbs that are all along 7 Mile Beach as well. And we know already that with the Marriott's drop in revenue, how that government tax is lost and how that's affected government and how government is at a loss from that revenue. That's on Airbnbs and hotels. So if Marla, you would like to answer to what the caller was talking about, please go ahead.
Sure. And again, I appreciate the points that he raised. And I just wanted to re-emphasize that this study was on 7 Mile Beach, not on any other beach. And actually, contrary to what he's suggesting that I looked at 7 Mile Beach only in its entirety from one end to the next. And I actually, in the analysis, separated between north and south and looked at the impacts that beach erosion is having on north versus south. And we did find that there is a roughly, let me quote it here, the study indicates that the southern end of 7 Mile Beach, where erosion is more evident, has resulted in a loss of approximately $13,000 per short-term rental income annually. So the Airbnbs, the short-term rentals, which are dominant on the southern side of 7 Mile Beach, we found, based on our modeling and analysis, we found that those properties are each losing roughly $13,000 per annum already. So I think it was unfair to say that, we looked at we looked at the whole thing in its entirety and not where the erosion is more prevalent. And I also want to re-emphasize that this was not an environmental impact study. And so this is something that is entirely, and the different ways of conducting beach renourishment, that's not something that I have expertise in. So I took the experts' report, and my conclusion was that from an economic standpoint, we concur with the conclusions of CRIF, which I outlined earlier in this discussion. Mm-hmm. We concur with the conclusions of CRIF and with the Department of Environment, which is a government agency, and with the Danish Hydraulic Institute study. We concur with all three that beach renourishment is necessary to maintain the economic impact of the tourism sector in the Cayman Islands and 7 Mile Beach more specifically, and relative to a loss plus multiplier impact of $13,000 annually in rental income per short-term rental at the southern end of 7 Mile Beach. That cost plus the estimated value of properties along 7 Mile Beach at roughly $6 billion currently, and the estimated $1 billion approximately annual impact of 7 Mile Beach, the cost of beach renourishment as it is currently estimated by those three studies is small in comparison to the potential losses associated with a do-nothing scenario. We therefore recommend that beach renourishment be conducted with 7 Mile Beach with urgency. Now, again, these are the experts who've done this analysis on what is the best way to do beach renourishment. I am not the one to comment on how to do beach renourishment. So I just wanted to make that clarification around what the caller is suggesting.
Wonderful. Marla, thank you so much. If there is one key takeaway you want our listeners to get from this conversation, what would that be?
The do-nothing scenario will be a huge mistake. We have to do something, and we have to listen to the science and the experts as to what is the best way to approach beach renourishment.
I love that comment. 100% in agreement with you. I think that too often in Cayman there's a lot of discussion and not necessary action. So hopefully we are looking towards action at this point. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know our segment has come to an end. I do believe you will be with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks on Talk Today this week.
Thursday at 12:30 your time.
Is it the kind of the same subject? Will you be going over your report?
It's the same subject, yes.
Wonderful.
And we'll go into a little bit more detail because we'll have more time.
Absolutely.
So Thursday at 12:30, yes.
So thanks for giving us a warm-up. I appreciate that. A good little warm-up to the morning. And thanks again for always just being reachable. I really appreciate it. You're a great guest to have, and for bringing the information. We appreciate you here at Radio Cayman.
Thank you, Kathy. Right. You take care.
Thank you, you too. Well, we're going to go to the 8 a.m. news right now, and when we return, I will have guests from the Department of Labor and Pensions.
Thank you, Kathy. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
West Bay, are you ready? The new Foster's Republics has something special for your mornings.
Our brand new breakfast station cooks up the best meals to start your day. And our convenient coffee bar is perfect for grabbing a fresh cup.
Plus, our new deli bakery and made-to-order food stations are better than ever. Whether you're in the mood for a breakfast burrito or a bakery treat, we've got you covered.
We're open from 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So swing by and fuel up for the day.
Discover the improved Foster's Republics in West Bay, making your mornings easier, tastier, and better because we care.
the voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Several items on tomorrow's CPA agenda. At 11:30, the Central Planning Authority will hear from an applicant pitching a 4-lot subdivision on 16 acres off Quarry Road in Boddentown. The site consists of primary seasonally flooded mangrove habitat and is part of a wider mangrove wetland system, which includes Meager Bay Pond protected areas and extends into the central mangrove wetland. In written submission, the Department of Environment says it appears part of the site has already been cleared and filled, and during its investigation, the department found, quote, multiple potential infractions occurring that fell into the remit of other government agencies, which have agreed to each issue compliance and enforcement and abatement notices accordingly. The DOE is, quote, strongly recommending that the application is deferred until all of the agencies have completed their enforcement cases. High Point Residences Ltd's application for 27 townhouses, 1 duplex, and 1 retail space is also set for tomorrow. That's on Fountain Road, 4 Mass Close, and Pembroke Drive in West Bay. The CPA will discuss issues related to suitability and density. Crimble Land Holdings' application for 5 acres of land clearing and filling on Anchor Road in West Bay is also on the agenda. The DOE notes that the site of the proposed expansion consists of tidally flooded mangrove forest and woodland. You can find the full agenda on planning.ky. It's official. The Inspire Youth Meetup was a hit.
I thought the event was fabulous. We had a huge turnout and it's only going to get better.
It was really fun and interesting and we learned a lot of new things.
It's very interesting, has lots of stuff to do.
More than 200 kiddos attended the first A Youth Meetup to speak out at the Lion Center event on Monday, with interactive breakout sessions led by both youth and adult moderators from 9 until 3 for kids between the ages of 12 and 17 from both public and private schools. Chief Nursing Officer Felicia McLean thanked all the students and volunteers who attended the event.
To share with one another, to make new friends, learn new skills, and honestly, just invest in our community through their participation. This is the first event of its kind, but we hope it won't be the last.
Sessions included discussions on mental health, body positivity, and inclusion, and gave kids a safe space to discuss the many challenges they face today. A very real issue, according to clinical psychologist at Alex's Place, HSA's Adolescent Mental Health Hub, Dr. Chantel Basson.
As young people are isolated because they're not going out and there's not enough gathering spaces, but also they're spending lots of time on their phones and that's affecting their brain functioning. The type of information they're watching is often quite damaging from a mental health perspective. So there is a really high level of challenge when it comes to young people's existence and ability to thrive in Cayman. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to run this event, because we want to make sure what we're seeing is this kind of generalized experience for people, or is it just a small pocket of young people?
Alex Panton Foundation Executive Director Emily Kelly says critical confidential information was gathered at the summit.
The goal with collecting this kind of information was for us to analyze that and share it with our partners so that it can be used to form policy decisions, programming, services, and everything in between. Young people are the present. They are here and now. And while we work to prepare them for the future, we must absolutely honor and celebrate their childhood and adolescence.
There was also an after party featuring fun activities, a DJ booth, food, and a photo booth. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC that will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
I'm Debbie Russ with the BBC News. Health officials in Lebanon say an Israeli airstrike near the country's biggest hospital in South Beirut has killed at least 13 people and injured more than 50. Israel's military said the target was a nearby Hezbollah position. Buildings in the area, which is not known to be a Hezbollah stronghold, were flattened. Civilians fleeing from Israeli attacks on the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza have been giving harrowing accounts of the scene. They spoke of streets strewn with bodies and of people fleeing in such panic they left their children behind. Iraq says its counter-terrorism forces have killed the Islamic State group's leader in the country. It named him as Jassim al-Mazrei Abu Abdul Qadir. Details are still coming in. Mozambique's main opposition presidential candidate has accused the government of killing his lawyer in the capital Maputo on Friday. Elvino Diaz and a party colleague were gunned down in their car. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has told Vladimir Putin that conflict should be resolved peacefully and that India stands ready to play any role to help end the Russian-Ukraine war. The two leaders met in Russia at the start of the BRICS summit of emerging economies. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Radio Cayman. Biggest variety in the morning.
RC Fusion.
Following the 10 a.m. news headline.
Brought to you by TCE Paint Shop, 27 Godfrey Nixon Way.
RC Fusion.
The Georgetown Farmers Market. It's time you start eating local. The market at the Cricket Grounds.
My Kinda Cleaners. Call or WhatsApp 326-3379 for your free quote today. Biggest variety in the morning. Radio Cayman. The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Britcay, where people come first.
A pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 74%. The barometric pressure is 29.87 inches and falling. The wind is northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synopsis indicate light to moderate northeasterly winds and seas are expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a weakening pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean as Tropical Storm Oscar continues to move away from eastern Cuba. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area, which are drifting towards the south. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, continues to issue advisories on Tropical Storm Oscar. For further information, you can visit www.nhc.noaa.gov. Oscar poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service will continue to monitor the development of this system. Now, the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for mainly sunny skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the low 90s with a heat index near 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be north to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers, especially for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be north to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide will be this afternoon at 2:50. Low tide tonight at 9:46. The sun will set this evening at 5:56 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:23. And the outlook is calling for an increase of winds and seas from Thursday afternoon as an area of high pressure moves across the southeastern United States, tightening the pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Brit K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Brit K, where people come first.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That, unlike the no-gets, ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, site screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman. Where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look this time at traffic. Steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way and Huldah Avenue. Slow moving traffic on Crew Road heading to Georgetown. Eastbound traffic on Crew Road is moving on light to moderate, and traffic is moderately flowing on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Dixon Way as well as Edward Street. Owen Roberts Drive, light traffic coming from the West Bay 4-way stop. Traffic flowing moderately. On the Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is moderate in both directions as well as on North Sound Road. Heading towards the Industrial Park area, expect moderate flow of traffic. If you see any accidents or incidents, please give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. Have a good morning and remember, click it or ticket.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller. Business Buzz.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in this segment of the show, I am welcoming from the Department of Labor and Pensions. We have the Deputy Director for Labor, Loval Linwood, and Senior Labor and Pensions Inspector, Sasha Rankin-Ricketts. We are going to be talking about the new online services that the Department of Labor and Pensions, from now on it'll be DLP in the show. We're going to be talking about the new online services that the DLP is offering. We know that the primary mission of the DLP is to engage, educate, and oversee labor and pensions compliance and enforcement within the private sector. And part of the engagement includes reaching people online and providing digital services like the new registration portals and tools like leave calculators.
So, ladies, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning.
All right. Sasha, I know you were with us last week.
Yes. Glad to be back today.
And you made it through the terrible rain.
Yes. There was no traffic today.
None today. I know we're very happy for that so far. So give us a bit of a brief description of your roles within the DLP.
Well, I think we're all familiar. Sasha has been here quite often. I'm filling in today. Our Senior Labour and Pensions Inspector, Ms. McIntosh, was unable to be here. So I am Laval Linwood, Deputy Director for Labour. I have responsibility for the Labour Investigations Unit at the DLP. And we are tasked with ensuring the compliance with the labour legislation. So that's our overarching responsibility. Part of that process, obviously, is streamlining processes and ensuring that the general public meets those obligations. Hence the reason we're here today, to share some exciting news on our new online platforms.
Yes. So let's get right into it. What are these new online platforms that we're talking about?
Yeah, so we have been working, the DLP has been working extremely hard on streamlining our processes. It's actually twofold. In digitizing our processes, we not only enhance the customer experience, but we're assisting with our sustainability efforts. So also today we have in-house Ms. Sasha is also our sustainability champion. And I'm proud to say I'm part of that team as well. Yes. So a lot has been going on, has been put into the creation of these online platforms. So first and foremost, we have our online leave calculators, which will be launching within the coming months. So this is our effort to, is our aim to assist persons in real time. So instead of you having to call into the office, come into the office, we want to ensure that, at your fingertips, you get up out of bed, you pull up your laptop, I want to see how much leave entitlement I'm entitled to based on my years of service. You just punch it in. The online calculators will be located on our website. So that's www.gov.ky/DLP, or just put DLP Cayman. It'll pop up. I think the important thing, though, to note is that while we're providing the calculators, it is a public service. It's for general, illustrative, and informational purposes only. So in saying that, you can only get out what you put in. So if the information that the individual is entering in terms of their years of service is incorrect, then you're going to get incorrect information. It's also wouldn't be applicable to persons that are on probation, casual workers, but all of this information will be made available on the website. So as you go to access the website, a disclaimer is going to pop up, and it's going to tell you, first of all, that you're going to be redirected to an external site. It's going to reiterate our data protection rules and so forth. So we want to make sure that you know that your information is safe and secure. We are not saving any of your information on our portal. So it will be on your desktop, whatever device you've accessed the site from, but the DLP, will not be storing any of your information. It's really just trying to ensure that, persons have access to information, in real time, and not having to wait 2 to 3 days for someone to call them back and say, this is what you're entitled to, so you're able to help yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not there.
Right.
So you can still give us a call, you can still email us, we're more than happy to assist you. But at least you have a starting point, and you're not totally reliant on calling the department or opening up the legislation, because we're also going to have some great FAQs there for you as well. So you can go on and pretty much any question that you can imagine that you'd be asked pertaining to vacation leave, maternity leave, because those are the two calculators that we're focusing on right now, because they are leave that is proratable.
So this is vacation leave and maternity leave. Those are the two calculators that we can look forward to seeing online in the next couple months or so.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Right. So those are two hot topics. Those are questions that we get frequently in terms of entitlements.
What are those common questions that you are asked?
Yeah. So I've been working for my employer for 6 months. I'm still on probation. Am I entitled to vacation leave? So again, going back to my earlier point, The calculators, first of all, you'll be advised once you log on, if you are on probation, this does not apply to you, right? So just to clarify, you are in fact accruing your vacation leave from your date of employment, but you would not be eligible for paid vacation leave until after you have successfully completed your probation period.
Gotcha.
Then that calculator can kick in. You can start calculating.
I'm going to ask a side question to that. Let's say you decide not to go any further with that employment and that accrued vacation. Do you get paid out for that, or do you leave that job a little earlier?
Not on probation. So the law is very clear in that regard in terms of the leave entitlements. So yes, if you're on probation and for whatever reason, you resign, you're terminated, whatever the case may be, then you would not be entitled to paid vacation leave.
Okay. You have the minimum wage calculator on the website right now.
Correct.
How has that been used? What's the response been for that been?
Well, I can honestly say to you that our questions coming into the office have diminished regarding the minimum wage calculator.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I'm assured that is actively being utilized. Hence the reason why we said, well, okay, this is working, so let's move along a bit further and let's put out a maternity leave calculator and a vacation leave calculator, being that these are questions that are frequently asked as well. So if it's working,
right,
let's keep on progressing.
Clearly, you see something working. I like how you tested one element to see, okay, is this going to work? How can we make it better? What improvements do we need?
Exactly.
And I'm sure you've gotten that feedback.
Absolutely.
I would assume that. And then you're able to launch the next part. So you kind of know what you're doing there instead of putting it all out and then it's a whole big mess.
Exactly.
Where do you start from again?
And we're all about innovation.
That.
All about innovation. Like we are moving forward, and anything that we can do from an online perspective is where we're heading, right? We want to work smarter, not harder.
Right.
More efficient, right? We want to ensure that we are making the lives of our people better.
So was the DLP, were you, I guess, inundated with some really common questions that I don't want to say could frustrate you as an employee there, but in the sense of, okay, a lot of our time is being taken on focusing on these questions. And when our time is there, we can't put that time into other priorities with the DLP. Did you find that was happening and you were able to introduce these new tools for people to work with?
Exactly. So for example, our seniors a lot of their time was being taken up with these frequently asked questions. And I'm going to take this opportunity to give a shout out to our admin team who have, stepped it up. Let me tell you, those frequently asked questions now are being filtered at that level. That's freed up the seniors. So we foresee that the new online services are going to make that just that much more better for us in terms of time saving.
Okay.
So you have your real-time access. You're able to get your answers in real time, and then that frees us up to work on those labor investigations and so forth and meeting our mandate in terms of timelines and so forth. So we have seen definitely a positive progression in that regard. So good job, DLP.
No, that's really good because the output is important in how you're trying to help those customers with the common questions, but to streamline the process, make it a lot faster and efficient, that works for everybody.
Absolutely.
And as you said, you're able to put more focus on some of the investigations that you have to do.
Correct.
And we know that at times that can be a long-winded event.
Absolutely.
Yes.
At times.
45-minute conversation.
It's a lot, right? There's that, and then what it takes kind of out of you, it can be a lot. So I think this is a great move for the DLP.
And we don't want it to be misunderstood. We're there if they do need to call, but at least you have options, you know, especially if you're a thinker at night or there's an issue that happens once, the office is closed, then you still have access to those calculators where you can get an idea. And if you still not comfortable, you could call us and say, okay, well, this is my situation, and you can reconfirm it that way. So you have many options, so not just one.
I am all for not wasting people's time, right? Or my time for that. So if I know I can somewhat, maybe 80% figure something else out online and try to understand that, if not everything is answered for me, I don't have a complete clarification, then yes, I'm going to go to whoever I need to, the personnel to say, hey, I need some more information, help me out, am I on the right track here? But it's so much time is saved for the DLP in knowing that, okay, I already did a lot of my background for this, And then I have a better understanding as well,
Right.
instead of just blindly going to you with a million questions
Mhm.
without really, I want to say, putting my effort into understanding what's going on with leave, for example.
Right, right.
I love
And then a lot of informational publications on our website as well.
Yes.
Our social media pages. I mean, we are pushing it out. So it's not for a lack of information being out in the public, right?
Mhm.
So, and that's definitely in line with our continued innovation, our projects that we're completing. So we encourage persons, please, like you said, I don't want to say help yourself, but yeah, help yourself.
But it is helping yourself.
Yeah,
Very much. They're
yeah.
tools that you're providing for people,
Exactly.
employees and employers, to help themselves to
Right.
be better employees or
Hands-on.
employers,
Right.
be in compliance
Yeah.
with the law. I
Yeah.
mean, these are great tools for people to
Absolutely.
have.
And I like Miss Ash's point, to her point, for me, I jump up at night and it's like, okay, I have a question, but DLP, wherever's not open, can I just go online and check it
Right.
So I think that is absolutely amazing. It's right there at your fingertips, and that's what we're trying to do in terms of our processes.
Right.
You know?
The world is not 9 to 5.
Yeah, right.
And the fact that we can
Yeah.
go online and get things done when we need to.
Exactly.
It's one of my favorite things when I saw transformation with government, when they started putting a lot more services online.
Yes.
I do not have to go and wait in line for a couple hours sometimes to pay for something.
Mm-hmm.
I can get it done online.
And learn at your convenience.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So much
Yeah.
quicker.
Yes.
It
So,
is.
so when it comes to, I guess, accessing the leave calculator, you had mentioned, Loval, about the data. So your data won't be stored. But what data is required from, an example, an employee like myself, if I worked in the private sector, what data is required for me to input into that leave calculator?
Your employment period.
Just that.
That's it.
That's
all you
barely
need.
any data to hide.
Exactly.
That's like public information pretty much.
So as long as you know, which you should, your employment period, once you enter that, it will calculate your leave entitlement in line with the basic. And again, I think it's important to state that the labor legislation outlines the minimum requirement, right? So the calculator is obviously based on what the law says is the minimum requirement. Now, if you have signed an agreement with your employer agreeing to better terms, obviously the calculator is not going to be where you want to be because it's only going to give you that minimum requirement as outlined in the legislation.
Okay.
So you're going to have to check your contract, see exactly what you agreed to with your employer in terms of what your entitlement is.
Okay.
Right?
And that's when you're like, okay, I'm not 100% clear.
Then give us a call.
Let me contact the DLP.
Exactly.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the most common mistakes that employees are making when it comes to leave entitlement or maternity leave, what would those be?
I don't want to say mistake, but
Misunderstandings,
the lack
maybe.
of understanding in terms of particularly to whom it applies. So I think we hit that a couple of times earlier. Particularly if you're on probation, right? We've had it where a lot of persons, they're not aware. Like they do not know that they're not entitled to paid vacation leave during that time, right? Another good one, which is, I guess, away from the topic in terms of the leave calculators, but public holiday pay.
Yes.
Right? So that's a big one. And this time of year, we're going to get a lot more questions in that regard because holidays are coming up. People want to know, why am I not being paid, right? So the simple thing there, and again, off topic, but I think it's very important. As long as you work your scheduled day before and your scheduled day after, and I know Ms. Sasha in her last session kind of went into that a bit and stressed that word scheduled.
Yes, she did.
Right? Very important because if you weren't scheduled to work and you didn't come in your scheduled day following the public holiday, you're not getting the paid leave, right?
So if the public holiday falls in between two scheduled days, you should be paid for that.
As long as you show up and you work your scheduled day before and after.
Okay.
Yeah. So got to be both.
Got it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So you don't necessarily have to be scheduled for that public holiday day.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Good
If
to
you
know.
are, then that's another topic. Then you got to be paid at double time.
Okay. I think we got to go to a commercial break right now. And when we return, we're going to continue our conversation with the Department of Labor and Pensions.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
For the Health of It, heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. is brought to you by The Light Room. Tired of being unwell and struggling to find the energy and vitality to live the life you desire? Come get recharged from the inside out at The Light Room. Our non-invasive, holistic energy enhancement system detoxifies and energizes the body, enabling self-healing and balance. Book online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL, 38 Pasadora Place, GT.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the 12th annual Wesleyan Youth Convention with some amazing news that you do not want to miss. What is truth? Find out at the most epic event of the year. The What is Truth 12th Annual District Youth Convention is open to all youth. October the 23rd through the 27th at the Craddock Civic Center in Northside. And trust me, it's going to be lit. We're talking Pastor Philip from Anguilla, our incredible host speaker, energized worship, and hands-on sessions. Each night, 7:30, an all-day session on Saturday, and start again 10:30 Sunday morning. So don't sleep on this. What is Truth Convention is open to all youth October the 23rd through the 27th at the Craddock Civic Center in Northside. Follow us on Facebook. Call 925-1930. We want to give a great big shout out to Wendy's, our main sponsor, and a big love shout out to Breeze FM, Big Fish 95.5, and Radio Cayman.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller. Business Buzz.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio I have from the Department of Labor and Pensions, Deputy Director for Labor, Loval Linwood, and Senior Labor and Pensions Inspector, Sasha Rankin-Ricketts. We were just discussing what some of the new online services that the DLP is offering, which includes some calculators for leave entitlement, maternity leave, and there's a gratuity scheme set up that we're going to get into as well with Sasha. Before we go there, I'm going to say that we got a comment from somebody listening to the show, and they're saying, I've been trying to get in touch with a DLP for months. Every time I try to call, the phone just rings without answer. Have the numbers changed? I don't think they have.
No, they have not. And if that be the case, we certainly apologize for that. We do try our best to answer all calls that are coming in. You can, it is 945-8960, so the number has not changed. You can also reach us by emailing us at dlp@gov.ky. Rest assured that is checked daily because I check it. So please send your inquiry in. We're more than happy to assist you. And again, apologies if that was the case.
Yes. And if it is, labor related, they can also contact myself at 244-4027. Email is usually easier for us because we do have an assistant on the labor team, Mr. Dukharan, who has been messaging me since we reached. He's very excited we're on the radio.
Taryn, we invite you on next time.
Yes. And he has been doing a great job with answering the calls. Like as it rings, we would try as officers to answer it, and he just picks it up. So, call us. Again, we have our main extension, but please, if it's something urgent that you really need our assistance with, my extension is 244-4027. And if I can't help you, then I will find someone else that can, if it's not labor related. If it is a labor question that I may need to get more information on, I will do so and call them back.
Okay, thank you for explaining. Susan, am I right? Yes, we do have a labor call, a question about labor. There's a caller. I do want to let the caller know. Thank you for calling the Business Buzz, first of all. I do want to let you know that if you are calling about a personal case that you might have with the DLP, we can't answer any questions like that. So even if you ask it, I'm just going to say right away, they're not even going to answer it. So please keep your question towards the topic, which is about the new online services. And we were just talking about the leave entitlements. So good morning, caller. Thank you for calling the Business Buzz.
Good morning to you, Miss Kathy. You got your disclaimer loud and clear, Mom.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good morning to Miss Linwood, I think you said, and Miss Rankin Rickett.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. I don't have any sort of personal gripes that I want to bring to the Department of Labor and Pensions, but I suppose I'm on a personal quest in regards to our public agencies, in regards to challenges or otherwise that this country is facing, and the labor market is a huge one for us. And Caymanians are being not treated so well in many respects, and the law is being circumvented in so many different ways. And so when I think about the department, and let me just, qualify myself in this regard. I've been a civil servant for decades. I have worked in the private sector for decades. I've had very menial jobs. I'm not below anything or above anything. I've had managerial posts. I've been on the labor tribunals of chairman and deputy chairman, so I think I have a fair good insight into the labor situations in Cayman. And I'm Caymanian and I live in Cayman. So let me just say this. The Department of Labor and Pensions, you guys, thank you so much for the great work that I just heard you talk about in terms of trying to streamline certain things and make it easier for Caymanians to get through. We appreciate those things. I guess I'm going to draw the circle a little bit bigger, and I know Kathy, you probably want me to hurry up, but I think it's important, though, the as we all do. But the thing about an agency like the Department of Labor, my questions would be, and you don't have to answer them until I get off, what sort of collaboration do you have with data sharing with places like work? Do you do reports that you can share to the public on violations and things that you're finding? We don't want to just hear the good stuff. As good as it is, I know there was some time ago the Department of Labor had inspectors. I don't know if that's part of your mold now, part of your new ambit. I know some of these things is in the minister's hands, and they're charged to make things happen. But so maybe I'm speaking to them as well. But what are you doing in terms of going out and inspecting to see whether places are compliant with some of these laws? We have so many people violating, so many companies. I've been victimized as a manager by trying to be compliant with the law. They try to destroy me. And so I know this firsthand. And Caymanians really need help in ensuring that our agencies, our public agencies, and our thrust to try to be a world-class civil service, to ensure that they're providing real help for people and going and knocking on the doors if the law allows you. I don't know what your scope is, what your new scope is for the agency, and whether you need to have laws in order to make this happen on a grander scale. But those are the sort of things when I think of the Department of Labor and Pension, in addition to providing services and making sure things are streamlined, do you have a hotline where people can give tips and those sort of things? That would be my challenge, Ms. Linwood, in terms of helping us on the ground and passing information between agencies. Hey, this business is getting a lot of complaints, don't issue no more work permits. You can't say that, but what I'm saying is real reports that makes it effective, and then providing data to the public, real data sharing on violations and things that you're finding. That's my thoughts for the morning. I have a lot more that I wanted to share, but I'm going to leave it there for now.
Thank you. You did great, caller.
Absolutely.
You asked a lot of questions
Yes.
there. So, ladies, I don't know which one wants to start, but what I did note, at least two of those questions, is there any collaboration of data sharing with work? And another one that I heard was, is there any reports on violations?
As it relates to collaborating with other agencies, actually, that is something that I also lead for our unit, especially with the work department. So we do have information that if an investigator comes across a matter that may potentially be a breach of the Immigration Transition Act, then that information through our DDL, which is Miss Linwood, is passed to myself. And because I used to work there, kind of have a little knowledge as to whether or not it's something that should be passed on.
Yeah.
It is then sent to the work department for them to take that information and, if they want to do an investigation, they do it. But we do pass on information, not just to work, but to our CIPS, to DCI. We work with Health Insurance Commission. That's a big one. We usually communicate with them like every week. So we do have that. And it is getting better. We have a lot more meetings with our sister agencies, as we call them. So that for sure I can say is happening. And it's increasing. So we are doing our part to pass on the information now to speak for our sister agencies, and they have their rules and regulations and processes as how they utilize that information is passed on. And obviously with data protection, we have to be, there's channels that we have to go through right now in order to get that information to our sister agencies. It's not as easy as it should be, but it's getting there.
Working on it.
Right.
We're working on it.
Data protection is it's a bit of a dance we all have to do.
Yes.
The hard one. So I understand.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Ms. Ash. I did note two other points that the caller made. And again, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your thoughts. There was a question regarding a confidential tip line.
Yes.
So absolutely.
Awesome.
So I had that here to mention before we left. So appreciate that query. There is a confidential tip line at the DLP. It's 945-3073. And when we say confidential tip line, it's exactly that. It is manned by the senior management team. We are the only members that have access to that. What we do want to clarify, though, is if it's just a question concerning your rights or your entitlements, or you have a specific issue that concerns yourself, then that would not be the avenue to use. That, again, would be is if you have a tip regarding a potential non-compliance issue that may be affecting an entire establishment, then you would use that if you want to remain anonymous.
Ooh, I'm going to be calling that tip line all day, every day now.
No, just call here. But yes, that service is definitely available to the public. The caller also mentioned, I think, regarding inspections.
Yes.
So we do have our inspections team. Our head of inspections, Mr. Gene Hides, does have a robust inspections program. His team is definitely on the road. He conducts in-house, on-site construction inspections. He's very active in that regard. So shout out to him and his team. They are doing an amazing job in that regard. Could we use more staff? Yes. But with what we have, I must say they are definitely hitting the ground running. So that is there. And like with anything, we're always improving upon our processes. So calls like this, we really do appreciate, because obviously it's at the forefront of, the public's mind and, what's happening. So I'm taking everything on board that caller has said. And again, we're all about innovation, moving forward, progression. So we will definitely see where we can improve upon any of our processes to ensure that we hit on all of those points.
Right. Wonderful.
And in relation to the inspections as well, I do also accompany the inspections team from a gratuity perspective. So we try to do a a full on-site inspection whenever we go to an entity, which involves, checking the contract, speaking to employees, checking the health and safety aspect of things, and the gratuity aspect. So it's a one-stop shop when we go. So we check every single thing where we're on site. And like the boss said, we are a small team. So while people may not see us today, you might see me tomorrow. We can't get to everyone today, but it is our goal to make sure everyone is compliant. And even when we're on site with those employers, making sure that everything is compliant with the Labor Act, we also speak to the employees to make sure they understand what is expected out of them and what their rights are. So we kind of educate while we're doing the inspection at the same time.
And these inspections, I would like to assume that you don't want them to see you coming, that it's a surprise inspection. Okay.
They rarely know we're coming. I mean, unless it's something that we need their assistance to gather additional information before reaching, they never know.
Okay.
And yes, like we don't need it's not like we need a warrant because we're not going to seize anything.
Right.
The Labor Act says you're required to keep records for 2 years. For gratuities, we have to keep records for 3 years. So when I show up, I need to see those 3 years records.
I like that. You don't want Sasha showing up. Okay.
No.
We got to go to commercial break, but when we come back, we've got to go into the other portion of the new online services, which has to do with the gratuity scheme, registration scheme. Sasha has all the info, so she's going to let us know about that, but we're going to go to a quick commercial break right now.
When it comes to keeping the office spotless, we rely on JGP Janitorial. With over 20 years of experience in office and business cleaning, they understand what it takes to maintain a professional environment.
Reliable, efficient, and priced right. GJP Janitorial is the smart choice for any business. For a free quote, call GJP Janitorial 548-1221. GJP Janitorial. Lose the mop. They'll clean the slop. That's 548-1221. Keep your business shining.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
There's something new in the neighborhood. What's new and improved?
Eastern Avenue Rubis!
Open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. Eastern Avenue Rubis is now being operated by your friends at Reflections. Treat yourself at the fully stocked convenience store while the spectacular pump attendants fill your ride with the new state-of-the-art Ultra Tech fuel, which improves fuel economy and optimized performance so you drive longer for less. On the way to an event empty-handed, stop by the Eastern Avenue Rubis to fuel up and grab gift certificates for use at Reflections, Hemp and Tobacco, Food for Less and Liquor for Less, Jose's and Eastern Avenue Rubis. Enjoy better service and better prices at Eastern Avenue Rubis. Now open.
See yourself in Reflections.
Reflections, always driving down prices.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio K-Man app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiokman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio K-Man. The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. We have just maybe 10 minutes left in the show. And in studio from the Department of Labor and Pensions, we have Deputy Director for Labor, Loval Linwood, and Senior Labor and Pensions Inspector, Sasha Rankin-Ricketts. We are talking about the new online services. And this is another part where Sasha gets to shine because she's going to be speaking about, it's like a gratuity schemes, registration, something. I'm not totally getting it right, so please explain it to us, Sasha.
And this is her baby.
Yes.
That's my baby.
Let me get the baby right there.
It is a gratuity registration process. Now, currently, it is done paper, which is not my biggest fan right now.
What do we even mean by gratuity registration?
Right.
Like,
So
what is that?
When a business, a restaurant, a bar, any hotel decides that they want to collect gratuities, before you put it on your bills, please make sure you register with the Department of Labor and Pension to get permission to collect gratuities first. Because it is an offense. If we do an on-site inspection and we find that you're collecting gratuities without permission, that can be, might be a small fine to some, but $25,000 isn't a small fine for me.
And not me either.
Yeah. So that we're trying to educate people out there that may not have known that you have to register with us. So when we do come across these establishments, we're like, hey, there's a registration process. We send them the form. We send them all the information they need to register with us. Now, it is a lot of documents at this point is required because we have to make sure the staff is aware that you're collecting gratuities, which is the most important part of it because it affects them. The
gratuities are usually because of the service that the staff provided.
Exactly. So the establishment should not be benefiting from gratuities at all. So if you collect $100 in gratuities, you should be paying that out. And, yes, it is pensionable. A lot of people are of the opinion that it's a tip. I take it home at the end of the night. No, your tip is your tip, but gratuities is separate. Gratuities has to be distributed twice per month. And it, like I said before, it is pensionable. So this process that when I first came to the Labor Department, I was like, okay, I would like to do this. I'm a numbers girl. I love numbers. So I took it on. And then last year, I approached my boss and I was like, hey, I spoke to Computer Services. They said it's free. So I started there. And,
freeness.
Yes.
Numbers girl.
Yes. So Computer Services was on board with us getting this process to be streamlined online. Mm-hmm. So instead of having to send us 50 documents, because some restaurants, hotels have a lot of employees. So the document size, we always have issues or it exceeds the maximum size of your, email. So they've been working with me. We've been having lots of meetings so we can get this process done online. So again, you could stay in the comfort of your bed and submit your applications to us to register to collect gratuities. So we're hoping, and Computer Services has been given a nudge that we want to have this up and running by the end of the year. And we're almost there because we're about to go into the testing phase right now. So that's an exciting step for us.
Excuse me.
Yes. So, and also with the gratuity registration, so at the beginning of it, we always want to make the registered party know that information will be published. So we're getting to where we're going to be posting on our website all of our registered entities that have approval to collect gratuities, along with the registration method. Because you're registered, the public should be aware. Because if I go to a restaurant, or I have family members now that go to a restaurant to be like, hey, can you tell me if this restaurant is registered? I don't walk with that data in my head.
As a common person, we don't even know to be asking those kind of questions.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also had no idea that an establishment has to register with the DLP if they're going to be collecting gratuities.
Yes, they should.
That's interesting. Now, what about, because I've seen in some places, like let's say a souvenir shop or a convenience store, for example, they might have a little jar on the table that'll say tips. So is that being non-compliant?
No, tips is separate. So
tips is different than gratuities.
Because you decide how much you're going to give as a tip. For gratuities, when you go to a restaurant or a hotel, it has a fixed amount. So they'll start, say, maybe a condo would have, say, 8% that they're adding automatically to your bill. So you don't get to choose what percentage. It's a fixed amount. So that's the difference. Gratuities is that fixed amount that is automatically added to your bill. A tip, you decide, all right, I'm going to tip my waiter $5 or I'm going to tip my waiter $25. If it's at the Ritz, maybe I'll tip him $100.
What in the event that, because I know this happens often, maybe as that consumer, you feel you didn't get that necessary service that gratuity claims, what happens then?
Right. So during our training session, this is like where we get stuck, because a lot of entities, they try to let their employees aware that gratuity is not something that is mandatory. While we automatically add it to your bill, it's not a must for that client to pay. So if I didn't like the service that I received, I can request to have that gratuity removed from my bill, and you can't arrest me. You can't call the police for me because it's my right. So I can request to say I will pay it, or I can say, you know what, the service wasn't that great. I didn't like, for whatever reason, I'm not going to pay it. And that establishment should remove that from your bill upon your request. Now, is it something that I promote to let people know that, you can't? No, because it affects those employees in a negative way. But then, again, it is that person's right. So we are to make them aware that this is your right. In the event that you choose or you would not want to pay, you have that option there.
So the gratuities registration, or that, tool that will be on the DLP website, is that mainly for employers to access then?
Yes.
Is there anything for employees that they're able to kind of tap into?
The only thing that employees would have access to is the approval list. So they would know that the entity that they're working for is in fact registered, and the method that they're using to distribute gratuities, because there's various methods.
Right.
And majority of the questions we get is like, I don't think my gratuities is correct. The first question I ask, do you know the method that is being used? Because that method will affect the portion of gratuities that you receive. When they're not sure, then I said, how about you check your contract? You had to sign something, because we would not have approved it unless we had that signed document from the entity. So it's educating them at that stage. The on-site inspections is very helpful as well, because I take that opportunity again to educate the employees. Do you know how it works? Do you know how it's calculated? Majority of the time, I'm like, no.
Really?
It's high season, so I'm expecting to get, $1,000 because it's high season. Okay, but that's not how it works. It could be low season and you get $1,000 too. It just depends on the hours you work, if they're using the hourly method. So we have 4 different methods that is approved right now. We have the hourly method, the shift point method, the volume of sale, and then it's the, I always get stuck on the last one.
The hourly point.
The hourly point method, right. So those are the 4 methods that the employers can choose. Now, we don't dictate which method for the employers to utilize. They should know which one works best for their business. Now, we can have suggestions as to how it's done, split front of house, back of house, but it's left up to the employer to make that decision. And as long as it's reasonable, the deputy director and the director usually say, okay, it appears to be fair, which is why we want to have these 4 methods at this point, and consider all of the other documentations for the registration process, and it's approved. It is not something that has to be renewed. Okay. So once it's approved, there's no renewal. You just got to deal with me after.
Which would be a lovely experience.
Yes, always is.
That reporting.
Yes.
We only have basically a minute left, so if there's any other information you would like to share with our listeners, now is the time to get that info out.
From the gratuity perspective, we just remind the employers that, yes, you have to register with us first before collecting gratuities. And secondly, once you're registered, you have to submit your gratuity reports for auditing every 6 weeks.
Okay. I have a small mistake. I do have one other question that came via WhatsApp, so my bad. The person on WhatsApp says, how many complaints do you get monthly about low salary or withheld grats?
From a grats perspective, it's not, I don't have a lot of complaints, maybe, 2 in every 3 months. It is not a lot. We hear more when we go out on to have that inspection where we request them to come see us so we can get their feedback as it relates to their employment. And that conversation is confidential.
Yeah, so I think because we're more proactive in that regard, we're hitting that off, which is good. Because that's the whole point of it. Yeah. You know, we want to get out there, get the messaging out. We want to ensure that when Ms. Asha goes out, she's doing a full audit of the company so she gets a better idea of what's happening there. She can share information so that those complaints lessen. And that's what we're seeing happening, right? So I think also as part of the registration process, what's also important to note back to ensuring that the employees are aware is that is a part of the registration process that she double checks to ensure that those employees have signed off, acknowledging that they know what the approved plan is and they're in agreement with it. That's a major part of that process. If that's not there, we're coming back to you to ensure that they do.
Right. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how many times a lot of us will sign a contract, have questions about it, and just feel maybe we're not in a position to be able to ask. We're just so grateful that we have this opportunity for a job that if we ask a question now, we might look we might be viewed as being a bit confrontational or, you know, so.
But that's why we're here. You know, before you sign it, you call us and say, I have a specific question, and we'll guide you based on the Labor Act. Now, we can't review your entire contract, but if it's a specific thing, we can address it for you.
Well, you know I'm going to be calling you, Sasha,
Oh,
and that
okay.
hotline number. All right, ladies, thank you so much. It was great
Thank
having you on this
you.
morning. One more thing.
Just one quick thing.
Go
I
ahead.
know that we have a couple of seconds left, but today is my son's birthday.
Happy birthday to him.
Thank you. My baby boy, and he's going to hate it, but he turns 21 today, and I just wanted to give him a big shout out. Happy birthday, Zachary.
Happy birthday, Zachary. All right, thanks for joining us on the Business Buzz this morning, and I will be back with you. Is it only Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be back with you on Thursday.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. And by JGP Janitorial, lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. JGP Janitorial, 548-1221.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976.